The most technical track for a driver is no longer in the World Championship series. It's in Germany called the Nürburgring, but it's the old Nürburgring, 14.7 miles around, 23 kilometres. Amazingly challenging, 187 corners per lap. A demanding track is one that you can never take liberties with, that you can never get onto a piece of track where you say this is no big deal anymore. You've got to give it everything all the way. Of the modern Grand Prix racetracks, I would say the corners have to be very fast to be demanding. So the most technically challenging would be the racetracks that have the longest radius corners, where the driver has to make an early commitment, and they have to be high-speed corners, because any error of judgment is much more critical at high speed than it is in low speed. In a straight, you can relax a little bit, you can relax your wrists and maybe your neck and move it around and just have a little fractions of seconds in different movements to relax a bit. But the racetrack itself, once you get into the areas of all of the corners, whether it be braking, cornering forces or acceleration from it, you've got to give it your undivided attention, and every single corner in, say, 16 corners per lap, any one of those going to cost you a tenth of a second, and a tenth of a second is a grid position. There's usually in a Formula One season a minimum of 3 gateways where there will be significant technical improvements, whether they be aerodynamic or for mechanical grip, brought in that have been worked on for months leading up. That first window is usually about the Spanish Grand Prix, the 4th Grand Prix of a season. Then there might be an update at the Canadian Grand Prix, or even the British Grand Prix a wee bit later, could be then. And then later on it might be Monza. A driver's got to be able to understand how hard his car can be driven while keeping his tyres, his brakes, the whole vehicle in harmony with itself and with him. If you overdrive the car, you're going to overdrive the tyres. If you overdrive the tyre temperatures are going to go up. When the tyre temperatures go up past a certain level, it's a little bit like overheating a Mars bar in the warm sun. It doesn't have any rigidity anymore. There's no strength left in it. You can't do that. Your performance will go right off. I think modern data acquisition is a fantastic asset. I think now the racing driver can compare his lap with his teammate's lap. He can chop up like an MRI scanner does to the human body every aspect of each and every corner, from when he takes his foot off the gas pedal until he puts it back on in the exit and completely exits the corner. He can slice that down incrementally and see how he's competing against his teammate, and perhaps with some other information that may be coming in, the segment times of each of those corners, to find out how he is doing against the competition. And the driver has to be a good listener, but so also has the engineer. But the relationship between his number one engineer and the driver has to be of total harmony. They've got to be able to work together to make the car as drivable as possible and driver friendly if possible throughout the whole duration of the race, because a car changes considerably from the beginning of the race to the end of the race. And what the driver doesn't need is a challenge. The driver should be asking for an invitation to drive the car. And if all of those things happen, it's the same in any other business, then he can deliver to a better standard than he would do if he's having to worry about this car that's got a bad part to it in its behavioural pattern. So that engineer must work with the driver, but in the end the driver makes the decision, that's what I can work with.